Hello，大家好，我是阿万。12月5日，为什么在美国建芯片工厂如此艰难？有1.8万个原因。从索诺兰沙漠的一片空地拔地而起的芯片工厂正在测试巨大这一概念的极限。建设中的园区占地约465公顷，比纽约中央公园还要大。它的投资额达到1650亿美元，是地球上最昂贵的工程之一。矗立在菲尼克斯城北郊的这片工厂，体现了美国追求工业自给自足的雄心。这些工厂用于生产先进的计算机芯片，也就是现代制造业的大脑。他们将为提供人工智能服务的数据中心提供动力。美国政治领导人将这些工厂视为应对地缘政治动荡和大流行病等灾难的保险。无论发生什么情况，美国都不用担心计算机芯片的供应。但在这一举措背后，居于核心地位、被视为对国家安全至关重要的企业，却并非是一家美国公司。全球行业龙头台湾机体电路制造公司，下称台积电，调动了投资人力与专业知识，使这些计划成为现实。数十家公司，有些是美国的，但更多是来自东亚，也纷纷在此建厂。从化学品、零组件到建筑与工程服务，为台积电提供所需的一切配套支持。他们总共为当地经济投入了400亿美元。这就是菲尼克斯转变为计算机芯片中心背后无法回避的事实。如果没有来自太平洋彼岸的专业技术和资金，这一切根本不可能发生。美国上一次大型本土芯片厂上线还是2013年，因此美国缺乏在没有大量外援的情况下自行建设此类芯片厂的经验。而且即便有这样的协助，建厂过程仍然是状况不断、失误百出，而且代价极为高昂。从地图上的一片空白，如今变成有人称为规模的地方。这一过程凸显出美国社会的一个决定性特征：繁复的官僚体系常常阻碍雄心勃勃的愿景，带来混乱、不确定性与延误，这往往会强化惰性，阻碍发展。在台湾本土，台积电习惯于积极行动，获取惊人扩张所需的资源、人员和政府许可。然而，在菲尼克斯，台积电及其供应商却不得不与另一种体制的种种复杂性做斗争。获取相关批文的过程相当混乱，他们为此屡屡受挫。具备所需技能的工人也不好找，他们承受着更高的运营成本，凭借意志力和巨额资金才得以撑下来。在美国建厂的压力下，台积电已经完成了一座所谓的研晶厂，目前正在生产芯片，同时还在继续建设另外2座。该公司还规划在菲尼克斯再建3座工厂，以及2座先进的封装设施。当这些计划全部完成时，该公司预计其1/3的高级芯片将在美国制造。特朗普总统誓言要重振美国制造业，并在他提出的经济计划中把这一点放在了核心位置。他大力依赖关税，以此迫使企业在美国设厂、雇用美国工人。他实际上是在压住在全球最大消费市场内部生产商品的吸引力，足以抵消其他挑战。然而，这一看似简单的方案却面临着这样一个事实：即便美国缺乏具备必要技能的劳工，而且在台湾，台积电及其供应商通常在专用的工业园区内建厂，通常只需要从中央主管机构拿到一张许可即可。在亚利桑那州，他们必须与市、县、州和联邦各层级的法规打交道，需要获得数以千计的审批。 我们最终制定了1.8万条规则，这花费了我们3500万美元。台积电董事长及总裁魏哲家说，这些抱怨源自美国一个非凡的成就。几十年来，美国利用法规减少了空气和水污染，同时提高了工作场所的安全性。然而，围绕这些法规成长出来的官僚体系往往杂乱无章。台积电在菲尼克斯建厂，体现出各方对地缘政治风险的重新评估。在台积电总部的决策者并非盯着地球仪得出结论，认为菲尼克斯是最适合制造芯片的地方。相反，该公司是在回应客户的需求。台积电并不设计芯片，它为美国英伟达等企业代工生产芯片。英伟达正处于人工智能爆炸式增长的核心位置。近年来，台积电的客户越来越担心过度依赖台湾工厂。中国主张这个自治岛屿是其领土的一部分。如果北京动用武力夺取控制权，导致芯片供应受阻怎么办？出于这种担忧，台积电已经开始在全球建厂，包括德国和日本。台积电的一位主要客户曾督促他在美国建立一座先进的制造工厂。拜登政府决心减少美国对遥远工厂的依赖，他试图通过芯片与科学法案拨出超过520亿美元的补贴来吸引计算机芯片制造商。这笔资金包括为台积电提供的66亿美元。亚利桑那州商务局是一家负责经济发展的机构，它向台积电积极展示示好，强调该州作为半导体制造中心的历史传承。早在20世纪的50年代中期，摩托罗拉就在当地生产电脑芯片，英特尔则在1980年位于钱德勒市开设了一家晶圆厂。亚利桑那州大学也大力宣传自身的产业专长和积极扩张计划。过去15年间，其工程专业人数已经从6000人增长到了3.3万人。但在菲尼克斯，任何建设项目都绕不开水的问题。水资源短缺促使州和地方政府不得不限制开发。芯片工厂需要大量的水。台积电的前3座工厂预计每天总共需要1640万加仑的水，这大致相当于20万户家庭的用水量。台积电表示，预计这些用水几乎不会来自市政供水系统。该公司正在建设一座废水处理厂，称未来水几乎可实现全部循环利用。截至2020年春，台积电已承诺在菲尼克斯建造3座工厂，投资额达650亿美元。随后，特朗普重返白宫，促使该公司承诺将其计划规模扩大1倍以上。制造电脑芯片是一种工业魔术，数十亿个微观晶体管被塞到薄薄的硅片上，其工序有点像制作照相底片。机器发射的光束细到令人难以想象，一根人类的头发丝可能比它粗5000倍。但安装这些设备并使其正常运行，需要具备专业训练和经验的人员。2年前，台积电承认难以找到掌握相关技术的本地人才，为此，公司从台湾引进了500名经验丰富的工人。当地工会指责台积电违反了联邦补贴的精神和规定，并督促移民当局拒绝为这些台湾工人发放工签。台积电通过承诺优先考虑美国工人解决了这一冲突，但劳资纠纷仍然在持续。一桩由28名亚利桑那州和加利福尼亚州的台积电前任及现任员工提起的诉讼，指控公司依赖台湾籍高层管理人员，这些管理人员与中文处理业务，排挤美国员工，同时贬低本地雇员。诉状描绘了元晶厂内部的危险状况，并称台积电习惯性的从台湾调人，而不是投资训练本地员工。 台积电拒绝就该诉讼置评。公司在一份声明中表示，他致力于为员工提供一个安全、友好且包容的工作环境。亚利桑那州的相关部门要求台积电为厂址进行勘查，以确保场地内设有沙漠规区期。菲尼克斯城方面则要求台积电确认并移植受保护的沙漠植物物种。34岁的消防保护工程师戴维·阿米里于2022年6月入职台积电时，以为公司会重视他对相关安全规范的了解。他曾担任菲尼克斯消防检查员3年多时间。他告诉主管，公司必须扩建自动喷水灭火系统。他表示这是一个严重的安全问题，但阿米里说，他找到的台湾籍经理并没有理会他的担忧。他们想在美国完全照搬他们在台湾的做法。他说，他们的设计一点都没改变。阿米里称，台积电的保险公司的检查员后来注意到了这一缺陷，并要求整改，其成本高达6位数。2024年6月，他沮丧地辞职了。芯片封装公司安靠科技是整个拼图中缺失的一块。先进封装技术负责将新制造出的芯片组装在一起，以便用于消费电子等设备。2023年底，安靠宣布计划在皮奥里亚位于台积电园区西侧的城市投资20亿美元建厂。皮奥里市议会在2024年2月批准了安靠的开发协议。该工厂计划建在一块约130公顷的土地中央，而该地块原计划就是用于建设住宅、餐厅和办公空间。居民对此就是表示强烈反对。工厂怎么能和周围环境相容？市政官员予以安抚，他们表示最高的建筑不会超过16米。然而到了今年1月，这座规划中的工厂高度增加了1倍，占地面积也扩大到最初的4倍多。安靠科技正面临增加产能的压力，以满足台积电对人工智能芯片日益增长的需求。其投资额已激增至70亿美元。社区居民挤满了皮奥里亚市议会的会议厅，要求停止工厂建设，并威胁采取法律行动。在公开场合，市政府态度坚决。皮奥里亚市长杰森·贝克在幕后推动了一项交易，市政府通过一次州土地拍卖购买了一块面积更大、位置更偏远的土地。该公司最近已在新址破土动工，有时候事情难免会变得棘手，贝克说道。哎呀，我已经有点词穷了。我也不能说这是一个有趣的报道，因为它并不那么有趣。就是能看到这其中的一些杂乱和荒谬吧。就比如说，原本就是拜登时代就谈妥了，就是会在美国建厂，然后呢，川普一上台，大手一挥，你得增加2倍。所以说这个是一个很可笑的一个点吧，因为增加2倍，这就意味着所有的事情又会搞得车马仰翻的那种感觉。其实是这个中文的翻译就是 Phoenix Park， 其实按说应该翻译成凤凰城，但是它一直是练成了菲尼克斯城，所以说这个翻译上是有点翻译的不那么好。哎呀，要关注我就关注吧。10,000 regions is so hard to build a chip factory in America. The computer chip factory is rising from an empty expanse of the Sonoran Desert tells the concept of immensity. The complex is under construction across 10,000 and 1,149 acres an area larger than New York's Central Park. It represents an investment of $165 billion, making it one of the most expensive undertakings on Earth. Here on the northern edges of Phoenix stands a display of Americans' reach for industrial self-sufficiency. The factories are engineered to make advanced computer chips, the brains of modern manufacturing. Those chips will power data centers that deliver artificial intelligence. American political leaders celebrate the presence of the plans as insurance against geopolitical turmoil in a disaster like pandemic. Whatever happens, the nation will have its own supply of computer chips. But the company at the center of this enterprise, one cause as vital to national security, is not American. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Co., or TSMC. The global leaders in the industry has marshaled the investment, the people, and the knowing how to turn these plans into reality. Scores of other companies, some of them American but many from East Asia, have set up their own local factories to supply TSMC with everything it needs, from chemicals and components to construction and engineering service. Collectively, they have invested an additional $40 billion in the local economy. This is the inescapable truth behind the transformation of Phoenix into a hub for computer chips. It could never have happened without the expertise and money brought in from across the Pacific. The last major domestic chip plants come online in 2013, so the United States lacked the experience to build one without considerable help. And even with their assistance, the experiments has been tumultuous, fraught with missteps, and enormously expensive. The process that have turned a blank spot on the map into what some now call the Silicon Desert underscores the defining future of American life, a tangle of bureaucracy often hinders ambitious visions, sowing confusion, uncertainty, and delay. That trends to reinforce inertia and discourage development. At home in Taiwan, TSMC is used to moving aggressively, gaining whatever resource, personnel, and government approvals are required to propel its astonishing expansion. Yet in Phoenix, TSMC and its suppliers have wrestled with the intricacies of a different system. They have been tripped up by a confusing process to get permits. They have struggled to find workers with needed skills. They have contended with higher costs of doing business, succeeding through force of weird and vast sums of money. Under pressure to build factories in the United States, TSMC has already completed one so-called fab and a plant now production chips, while continuing construction of two more. It has outline plans for 3 more factories at the finish line, plus a pile of advanced packaging facilities. When these plans are completed, the company expects to make nearly 1/3 of its advanced chips in the United States. President Donald Trump has vowed to spur a revival in U.S. manufacturing as centerpiece of his economy plans. He has leaned heavily on tariffs as the way to force companies to set up factories in the United States and hire American workers. He has effectively bet that the allure of making goods inside the world's largest consumers marketplace would be enough to overcome other challenges. But the simplicity of their prescription confronts the reality that the United States lacks workers with needed skills. And in Taiwan, TSMC and its suppliers built facilities in dedicated industrial zones that generally require one permit from a central authority. In Arizona, they must negotiate municipal, country, state, and federal regulations requiring thousands of approvals. We ended up expressing 18,000 euros, which cost us $35 million, said C.C. Wei, TSMC CEO and chair. Such numbers stem from an extraordinary American success. Over decades, the United States has used regulations to reduce air and water pollution while enhancing workplace safety. Yet bureaucracies have grown around those years, often in incoherent fashion. The presence of TSMC's finished reflects a reassessment of geopolitical risks. No one at its headquarters in Taiwan stared at the growth and concluded that the Phoenix was the most suitable place to make chips. Rather, the company responded to its customers. TSMC does not design chips, it makes them for businesses like Apple and Nvidia. The company at the center of its explosive growth in artificial intelligence. In recent years, TSMC's customers have grown worried about its dependence on factories in Taiwan, a self-governing island claimed by China. Or if Beijing leads its militaries to seize control, disrupting the supply chains. With such fears in mind, TSMC has begun constructing factories around the world, including Germany and Japan. One of TSMC's largest customers urged the companies to set up an advanced manufacturing plant in the United States. The Biden administration was intent on dismissing Americans' reliance on far-away factories. It sought to attract computer chip manufacturers by making more than $52 billion in subsidies via the CHIPS and the Science Act. The funding including $6.6 billion for TSMC. The Arizona Commerce Authority and Economy Development Agency quoted the company, highlighting the state legacy as a center of semiconductor production. Motorola began making computer chips in the area in the mid-1950s. Intel opened a fab in Chandler in 1980. Arizona State University promoted its industry expertise and aggressive expansion plans. Over the last 15 years, the ranks of its engineering students have grown to 33,000 from 6,000. But nothing gets built in Phoenix without reckoning with water. Shortages have prompted states and local authorities to limit development. Cheap plants require enormous amounts of water. The first three TSMC factories were expected to need a collected 16.4 billion gallons per day, about as much as consumed by 200,000 homes. TSMC says it expects to draw little of that from municipal supplies. The company is building a wastewater treatment plant that it says will eventually recycle nearly all of its water. By the spring of 2024, TSMC had committed to build 3 factories in Phoenix while investing $65 billion. Then Trump returned to office, gaining the company commitment to more than double its plan. Making computer chips is an industry magic trick. Billions of microscopic transistors are crammed onto silver or silicon using a process something like the creation of the photography negative. Machinery case beams of light so slender that a human hair may be 5,000 times as thick. But installing that equipment and getting it to work properly requires people with specialized training and experience. 2 years ago, TSMC acknowledges that it was having trouble finding local people who knew how to do it. The company brought in more than 500 experienced workers from Taiwan. Local unions accused TSMC of breaching the spirit and rules of its federal subsidies. They urged immigration authorities to block visas for the Taiwanese workers. The company resolved the conflict by committing to show preference to American workers, but labor disputes have continued. A lawsuit brought by the 28 former and current TSMC employees at facilities in Arizona and California accused the company of relying on Taiwanese senior managers who sidelined American workers by conducting business in Chinese while denigrating local hires. The lawsuit depicts dangerous conditions inside the fabs. It asserts that TSMC reflexively brings in workers from Taiwan rather than investing in training local people. TSMC declined to discuss the lawsuit. In a statement, the company said it is committed to providing a safe, welcoming, and inclusive environment for our employees. Arizona authorities require that the company survive its site as well to ensure that it was free of dangerous tortures. The city of Phoenix demanded that TSMC identify and replant protected species of desert flora. When fire protection engineer David Amiri, 34, TSMC in June 2022, he assumed the company would value his knowledge of applicable safety codes. He had spent 3+ years as a Phoenix fire inspector. The company had to expand the sprinkler system. He told his supervisors. This was a substantial substantive issue of safety, he said, but the Taiwanese manager has he approached dismiss his concerns. Amiri said. They wanted to copy in the US exactly how they do it in Taiwan. He said they did not change a single bit of their design, and it's better for TSMC's insurance company. Later noted the defect and demanded that it be remanded, Amiri said, and the cost around 6 figures. In June 2024, he quit in frustration. Amco Technology, a chip packaging company, was a missing piece to whole puzzle. Advanced packaging takes freshly manufactured chips and feeds them together for use in devices like the consumer electronics. In late 2023, Amco announced plans to build a $2 billion plant in Padrio, a city just west of the TSMC complex. The Padrio City Council approved a development agreement with Amco in February 2024. The plant was to be built in the middle of 320 acres, slated for housing, restaurants, and office space. Residents cried for how was the factory compatible with the surroundings. City officials offered assurance the tallest building would be no higher than 54 feet, they said. Yet, by January, the planned factory has doubled in height while expanding across more than 4 times the initial square footage. Amco was under pressure to add capacity to accommodate TSMC's growing demand for AI chips. Its investment has swelled to $7 billion. Residents of the community stormed Padrio City Council meetings demanding a halt to a factory and threatening legal action. Publicly, the city held firm. Johnson backed the Padrio major, pursued a deal behind the science by which the city bought a larger, more remotable parcel via a state than auction. The company recently broke ground at a new site. Sometimes things get ugly, Beck said. Thanks for your listening and hoping your life fully with happiness and joys.